Hey you guys, so Destiny here, associate agent with Redfin. I wanted to hop on and do a super quick video. If I can keep it under 5 minutes, I don't see why I can't, but I'm hoping to keep this under 5 minutes. I'm out and about doing my last tour of the day. I did two tours today, but after 5, which are like those prime time hours with prime time pay. So it kind of equals, it would be equivalent to me running around all day prior to 5. So I basically condensed my schedule so that I'm out from 5 to about 7:30, and the math or the income still kind of averages out to the same. So I'm out and about to take on my last tour of the day, just waiting on my client, and realize that I have been an associate agent with Redfin for 1 year. So June is officially my work-aversary for Redfin as an associate agent. So in reflecting on this past year, you guys always hear me talk about how amazing Redfin is and how I have so much fun and all of the perks and all of that. So I kind of wanted to quickly just run through just very random things that kind of happened throughout this year. I'll touch on a little bit of the overall process and then just kind of go from there. Answer a few of the questions that I've gotten in past video comments. So yeah, just try to touch on that. So a lot of you guys are in the comments, and you guys are either inquiring about becoming an associate agent, or you have recently joined the Redfin team as an associate agent. So a huge congratulations to you guys who are officially Redfin associate agents. You guys are going to do awesome. And I can't wait to hear about your success stories, and hopefully you'll decide to post some videos to help somebody else out that doesn't know much about the associate agent role. So 1 year in, I got started in June of 2020. I completed my application in February along with my video, my one-way video interview. I didn't hear anything back until May. So from February to May, it was radio silence. Come to find out, there had been a hiring freeze. So that's why. And so then when everything picked back up, they hit the ground running with hiring everyone. And then I got the call in May. I started in June. What do I do differently now, 1 year in? So I am now a full-time associate agent. And even that might vary or change in the coming months. I really structure my schedule around my family. That is very important to me. And I kind of had to circle back around to that why. Why did I leave the 9-to-5 gig? Why did I, need a position that offered flexibility and things like that? So, I am a full-time associate agent. I wasn't always like that. I would just like open my schedule up sporadically. It was just trying to find a schedule that allowed me to get the most events and money and things like that. So I was just testing out schedules for a while when I first got started. So I currently work 7 days a week, beginning next week. So the end of June, early July, I will be implementing a mandatory 2-day break period where I don't take any events. So me opening up my or closing my schedule until 5 to 7:30, that's kind of me compromising, where it's like, all right, well, I won't work the whole day. I'll just work during prime time hours. But starting in June, I am definitely going to begin taking 2 days off because burnout is real, you guys. So other things that I do differently, I now do scans. So I just started scans, I want to say maybe about 4 months ago. So I will trade off with one other person, and every 2 weeks I'll have the 3D scan camera, and I'll go out to our coming soon Redfin listings, and I will do a 3D scan or a virtual tour, and it just opens me up for more events. It allows me to be to bring in a little more income because they have a pretty nice price tag tied to those scans depending on the square footage. So just gonna kind of wrap this video up with pros and cons, as well as some new AA tips, if you guys don't mind. So some pros, again, amazing money. I've made more money. I've never, as a traditional agent, the very short time that I was a traditional agent, I had actually never written a contract. I never had a client, never hosted an open house or anything like that. So I really wasn't using my license for anything. And I ended up working hourly for property management. This is the most money and probably the least amount of effort. If putting it very the least amount of effort isn't the right word or phrase that I'm trying to use. I'm just saying, like, the amount of stress that I was under for such a little hourly rate versus what I do now, which is so fulfilling, and I feel like I'm fairly compensated for my time and my efforts. It's just day and night. So the money is awesome. The flexibility is there. If there's a day where I want to, hang out with my son or take him out to dinner or hang out with my husband, go for a walk with him in the evenings, then I'll just shut my calendar down. If I don't have anything already planned, then, I'll shut my calendar down and I'm able to do those things. This year, the best part of this past year was not having to ask a manager, beg them for PTO to take Christmas off. I could take off as much time as I wanted. That felt amazing. Now, granted, I was steady adding up all the events and the money that I was missing out on by not being available for that week. But it just felt so good to know that I could take time off. I wasn't going to have to deal with the nasty attitudes from an office manager or coworkers because I wasn't there. And I didn't have to come back to my desk to, chaos and fires and clean up a bunch of messes after taking time off. So the flexibility is amazing. That's one of the best pros. Learning my market and becoming a market expert. That's the greatest feeling. When somebody's able to ask me a question, in my head, on the outside, I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. But in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I know that answer. I know that neighborhood. I know that house that they're talking about. And so I really, really do enjoy that side of it. Some cons. Because there are cons to everything. Number one con is burnout. And nobody is to blame for burnout except for you, or in my case, me. Because I open up my schedule wide open. I set a really, really high financial goal for myself. And it is I spend all my energy into hitting that goal every week. And so with that being said, I was open nonstop. The only sacred time that I had was is time where, my son is getting off the bus. I want to be there for him at home and help him out with his homework and stuff like that. That is the only sacred time. Other than that, everything was everything was fair game. So burnout is real. The other thing is mileage. So when I first started, I had a 2020 Honda Accord, brand new. I had bought it in December. I started this job in June. I recently traded it in for something that gets way better gas mileage. It's a hybrid. When I traded it in, I had 46,000 miles on that vehicle in a year. So, yeah. So be prepared to drive. So along with the mileage comes the maintenance and the wear and tear that you put on your vehicle with taking on events. But to me, financially, it was definitely a trade-off just because of the mileage write-offs, the maintenance write-offs, the gas write-offs, so everything that comes with being a 1099 employee and all those tax write-off benefits that I get with using my vehicle as a part of self-employment or business. Taxes. Speaking of write-offs, taxes are a mother. especially if you don't really understand them like me. I have an app, it guides me through, it does a pretty good job with telling me what write-offs I qualify for and how to keep track of it. I try to automate anything that is write-off worthy. So mileage, I try to do the auto tracking, and I instantly snap my receipts as soon as I spend anything business related, gas receipts, things like that. But taxes, finding enough write-offs in order to keep as much money as possible has been my biggest challenge this year. So I'm hoping to continue to just educate myself on what I'm able to write off and keeping better track in records of my expenses throughout the year. So then, those quarterly taxes don't hit as hard, because that does suck. Hot market. So with it being a hot market, which you wouldn't naturally think is a con, but it kind of is when you have a jam-packed schedule full of homes that you can't wait to show, only for all of them to go pending right as you are mentally preparing to get your, wrap your head around this day, and and you're counting up the coins for all the events that you're going to take on in a day. So it kind of sucks because it's a hot market, which means that a lot of homes are under contract before you know it. A lot of times before you even have a chance to get out to the home. So that kind of sucks. Another pro that is sometimes a con is that you're dealing with the public. You're dealing with people. You're dealing with one of the biggest purchases of their lives. And so sometimes you have to deal with, you got to deal with people. You got to be a people person. And you're a person as well. And so you can have off days and things like that. But yeah, so it's a pro on good days, but it can also be a con as well. All right, so if I had to give any advice working as an associate agent for Redfin, I would definitely start off with availability. Make yourself as available as you feel comfortable, but also, setting goals for yourself so that your availability matches your financial goals. So if you're making this your full-time or part-time, whatever that is, whatever your goal is, definitely tailor your availability so that you are able to meet and exceed that goal. Also, having a firm schedule. I am just recently finding this out. Having a firm schedule so that you, one, avoid burnout, two, kind of what to expect day to day. Instead of opening your calendar, closing your calendar, opening your calendar, closing your calendar, it creates like this, where you aren't able to really get settled into your day. I'm actually really looking forward to blocking out a certain time of day so that I can dedicate to getting back into the gym. I noticed that with working 7 days a week and trying to make as much money as possible, I really started to let my physical health take a backseat and to start slipping, as well as like my eating, because I'm constantly in the car and not making the best nutritional choices while I'm in the car. Next, discussing if you have a family, kids, husband, parents, anybody that you live with, that you're close to, friends, things like that, discussing your friend and family obligations, saying, hey, I'm not going to be available every weekend, or I'll carve out this amount of time on this set day to spend time with you or to meet up with you. Or, if you want to do something, you got to let me know at least a week or two in advance so I can make sure that I block out my calendar. Otherwise, I won't be available. And also explaining to them, nights and weekends, if this is what I'm going to do full time and really make this my full-time income, then nights and weekends are going to be those prime time go-to hours for for me. So kind of having that conversation in advance with your family is definitely a big help to get them on board to support you, and you making this a full-time career, because it can get rough, and it can cause a little bit of tension on relationships when you're always out the door. You are always on the go, especially those nights and weekends. So, and then last but not least, I would definitely set the tone for your calendar. So if that time is blocked out, honor your unavailable and blocked out time, and expect others to honor your availability and blocked out time as well. There's nothing worse than thinking that you're going to have the day off, but then the next thing you know, you're making exceptions, and now all of a sudden you have a full calendar on your one day that you were supposed to have off. Or the next thing you know, you're dropping the ball on your family obligations because you're making exceptions, or you took on that last minute tour. So things like that are the main things that I would suggest to new AAs. And other than that, just use every event as a learning event. Come with your amazing personality and your professionalism, and you will do awesome. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys watching, as well as your comments and feedbacks. It really does help me, and I'm going to really attempt to start to post more content now that I realized that, there are people who are really wanting to know about this position, and it is really an incredible position. All right, peace.